And officially the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour is racing for 2022. And all 20 cars that started the weekend start the motor race. Away we go. Chaz Mostert leads them to green for the first time today. Kelvin van der Linde next. Lucas Stoles is behind the wheel of car 75. Marcus Winkelhoff behind the wheel of 777.
Mostert continues to lead as the lap times continue to tumble. Now it's a 2:04.5. So they're trading fastest laps, the two guys at the front.
Even though Mostert set the fastest lap of the race on that lap just completed, I feel like van der Linde's probably got a little bit more speed at the moment, wants to go a little bit faster. That's not to say that Chaz couldn't go any faster, but hey, when you're leading the race and you've got the guy bottled up behind you, you don't really need to lay it on the line right here, right now. So van der Linde just trying to put a little bit of pressure on Mostert. It's not as though Chaz, it's his first rodeo. He's been around here a few times. He's been in this position quite a few times.
David Reynolds continues his move up the field. He's up to 7th now, just going past Will Brown. So themselves right back up into contention now after staying in 16th place. The fog is getting thicker. You know the next line, don't you? On the way across the mountain.
Well, this race is getting larger, isn't it, Nolts?
Check this out. Paul Martin from Supercars is heading into the Craft Bamboo pits. I've been chasing a story that's developing down here in this opening seg, and I think Paul's got some bad news for them. Their compulsory pit stop time was 1 minute 59.9 of a second. Now, technically, that means that they haven't served a compulsory pit stop of 2 minutes yet, and that's the reaction from Craft Bamboo. So that little strategy play might not have worked, caught out by just 1/10 of a second.
And that's the safety car we're expecting a little bit earlier for fog, but they've continued to play on. We get one now for a car stopped at the mountain. So the first racing safety car of the race, the second one officially, metal grate, heavy contact.
Yeah, too wide to drop down into the grate.
So this happened at the end of the pit stop sequence as everyone rolled out of pit lane. We're on board with car 777. Yasser Shahin jumped behind the wheel, the reigning GT World Challenge champion, and just blazed past Marty Conrad in the 75 car. Now those positions were the other way around before the stops, because Lucas Stoles was behind the wheel, and past Brock Feeney as well.
I think it slipped Yass's mind that potentially we're under safety car here. You can actually see the cars have, just at the top of the dash above the air intake, you can see those orange flashing lights.
You cannot pass under a safety car, and that's what happened on that run up Mountain Straight. So he will do a tour and a transit of pit lane, and will throw about 32 seconds away. Moment coming out of the elbow. Forget the pit lane penalty, almost ended up in the wall. First lap after the restart, clearly tyre pressure's not up. This for the race lead. Feeney sends it down the inside. The KW suspensions chase, and 888 leads for the first time today.
Smart play by Liam Talbot. Saw Feeney coming, just let him go. We actually heard from Chaz Mostert that it was easier to follow the car, not be the leader. So when Mostert came up on lap traffic, he was finding it much easier to see. So potentially that news has filtered back down at the chase, and that was Schumacher having a big moment at the apex of the chase, runs it wide. So Brad Schumacher not comfortable just yet on board now, just loses the rear on entry in the 74 Valvoline Audi.
I swear this bit of racetrack looks wider on TV than it actually is. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Talbot rolled out of it because he didn't want to go side by side with Joey Mawson through the chase. And right about now, Brenton Grove has to change lanes. Didn't worry about indicating, mind you, did Brenton?
Exit of the Maguire's elbow. So there's the move down the inside from D'Alberto. Gee, came from away back there, Tony. And Liam just had no opportunity to not make contact. He was already well committed. Here it is from the Lambo, Garth.
Oh, so Talbot got held up a little bit from the lap traffic, the Porsche, and D'Alberto tried to get advantage from that. He was a long way in there, but potentially Talbot didn't realise he was coming. And that's always the drama with passing down there at Forest Elbow. Need two to tango down there. And then now this is a big one.
Brenton Grove right in the mix in this race in the Porsche.
Right now he's right in the gravel trap. That's at turn one. So on board here, you can see actually one of the Audis in front went wide. So definitely rain on the front straight and turn one, and Brenton now trying to get out. of the gravel trap. Let's catch a replay of Jack and just... Oh, there's contact with the wall.
Hefty contact.
To Jack Perkins. So, and suspension damage to the right rear of that one. Just comes around the kink, gets away from him. I'd say that car is on a slick tyre, judging by that. It's got away from Jack.
So it's a quirk of the rules in Australia that the internationals have to get up to speed to. You cannot weave when the safety car lights are out.
Yeah, that's one that when I have international teammates, we just hammer it into them. Hammer, 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 no weaving once the lights go out on the safety car. Because as you said, Rich, it's a very Aussie-centric thing, but Fraser Ross gets us going. And this restart will be every bit as challenging as the start of the race, because we had fog when we went green. At 5:15 a.m. we've got rain and lots of spray when we restart with 10 hours and 10 minutes to go.
Triple Australian Drivers Champion Paul Stokel, Tasmanian behind the wheel of car 47. Wasn't even the car they started the weekend with. It's been a remarkable Bathurst resurrection story for the Superbarn Supermarkets team.
Here's the 222 Class B Porsche. Craig Lowndes at the wheel. Yes, that is how you fuel up your racing Porsche. Imagine you pulled into the servo and the driveway attendant jumped out your front bonnet of your best GT3 Porsche road car. I don't think it'd go down all that well.
It'd be a nice response.
Control to all teams. Due to we have now commenced the third hour. We are now into the wave-by component. Utilising rule 3.27.1.10.3.3. We are deeming the track is unsuitable due to the conditions for a wave-by. We will not be doing a wave-by.
Shut the wave down. So I thought you had a huge amount of power there, Rich Crow. You just basically turned the lucky dog on.
Well,
but race controller said, no.
AM driver aboard the Valmont Racing Mercedes AMG GT3. They tippy-toe out of the final corner. Real challenge from Percat there. But now they power away into the spray and the run towards Hell Corner.
Percat had no front grip as he turned it in to come to the control line. And again at turn one, no front tyre temperature aboard that number 17 Audi of Percat.
Pit lane penalty, car 75 for breach of safety car protocols. Thank you.
Kenny Habul will get a penalty. And this is why.
7:04, so that's some half hour ago. So that's actually passing before the control line. So that's a no-no. You can't pass till after this last corner. It's actually under the Liqui Moly Bridge. And this is another one. He passes, that's Craig Lowndes. So Lowndes will be thinking, hang on a minute, what are you doing? And he's passing 3 or 4 cars. So yeah, no, can't do that either. Going on the wheels and being put in the garage, that's a real shame for that car. I saw some damage to the front of that car when Kenny Habul went past. Unrelated to Habul, but that surprised me because I didn't feel like I'd seen that before. So that car's made contact with something somewhere.
And he thought that they might be able to take advantage of a couple of GT3 car mishaps, and they're all about just getting to the finish, this team, and to raising funds for a great cause. But they're a competitive bunch as well, and you've got an Emery and a Davison and a Lowndes in your racing car with team owner Scotty Taylor. So they'd love to knock off some big names at the end of the day. I think there's a little bit of personal satisfaction from that, doing it in a cup car against the 4-1 GT3 cars, which in normal conditions are a couple of seconds a lap faster. That's a couple of seconds a lap slower. Car 45 pointing in the wrong direction. Mike Sheargold behind the wheel. It's the run through the S's, Garth, down towards the elbow.
That point coming off the dipper that we spoke about where the cars get super taily.
Superbarn Audi was off the road at Murray's as well through all of that, with David Russell behind the wheel. Here's how it happened. So it'll be top of screen.
Oh, yeah, in contact with the wall. So just caught the inside curb there, lit the rear tyre up. Traction control is a wonderful thing, but it can't save race cars from those sorts of things. And then here was David Russell just running it wide down at the final corner.
According to
safety car on the racetrack.
777. Proceed and wave by until further notice, please. Proceed 80 kph, wave by until further notice.
Safety car out. So the word we're hearing is this is why we're under safety car. So this cloud has descended over the Kazoo Racing dipper and the run down through the S's to the elbow. And the race officials can no longer see from one flag point to another. So it is a safety issue. Car 888 is not for track position. SVG is a lap behind. So he will be very, very encouraged to get past car 777 and get himself back on the lead lap. So when the next safety car falls, almost bet my house on that, he gets that lap back. But getting past Marcus Winkelhock in a very, very fast Audi will not be the work of the moment. And once again, Craft Bamboo Racing on a restart and back in pit lane with Daniel Giucadella.
Safety car boards and flags, safety car scramble, leader is 777.
Oh, and
No, I think, is that the 777 car in the lane?
did they?
Yes, it
call
is.
that? Oh, wow.
Yeah, what a call.
Jag that, surely.
Very good call.
The call was being made as they rolled in. Mostert follows in as well. So they're going to get another free stop, and Sun Energy 1 and 888 continued on with Gilles Gounon behind the wheel. So he'll be the net race leader after all of this.
All the
Bates
Audis
as well.
All the Audis are coming to the...
Fog just getting thicker now at the bottom part of the mountain. There's some great pictures that were popping up on socials during the weekend with fans above the clouds. And it's not the first time we've seen that here at Mount Panorama. Right here.
You ask,
right
Matt
on
Nolte,
you.
here you are. Go to Skyline and sit above the clouds at Mount Panorama.
Jumping out of that car a few moments ago, and now that Audi getting bigger. Mostert's thinking about a move here down at Maguire's elbow.
Of course he is. There he goes.
Not just thinking about it, he's doing it.
The coin spot out, even Winkelhock hangs tough on the outside.
The race leader, Craft Bamboo Racing, Daniel Giucadella, takes us up to the top of Solomon Park. The gap is 6 seconds back to Shane Van Gisbergen in the second of the AMG Mercedes. And a big, long gap now back to Mark Sini, close to 60 seconds, Richard Crail.
And he's pulling margin on Shane out in front of this race at the moment. Gap out to 7.1. At a rate of about 1.5 seconds a lap at the moment. So there could be a battle for position. Big moment, Reynolds just hangs on to it. Going into the cutting, that was very, very big. Let's go back and have a look at what's going on down here. Car 95. Oh, very wide. Just missed the apex a couple of metres there and lost the rear in the exit of the corner. Nice little 360 and carried on. Dropped that car back to 6th position for Jake Camilleri behind the wheel. And Chaz Mostert with the evasive action. So here's the stop for car number 75. Lucas Stolz behind the wheel. Looks like a slick tyre going on to me. You'd be mad to not do it. Seventh position on the road at the moment. Brad Schumacher just behind them. And away they go. Fuel going into the Grove Racing Porsche. 4 hours and 31 minutes into the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hour.
There's now dramas for car 65, Krause. The 65 Audi is coming to a stop on Mountain Straight.
This is one of the key contenders in the motor race. From 7th position on the lead lap, Liam Talbot pulls to the side of the road. Is it just a Control-Alt-Delete? That's what's going on now. Let's have a listen. Wow, yes it was. So a full reset. This is a car that's a little bit further up the order. They've dropped a few laps through that, and they're going to be about 10 laps down now, so it probably removes them from any sort of outright contention later in the day, but at least they'll be able to circulate. And a lot of work going on to the coin spot Audi R8, which Chaz Mostert has been so fast in, and frustration perhaps. They put car number 24, another lap down.
Oh, he made contact with the wall there.
No.
Didn't see. It was light contact, but definitely contact onto the concrete at the exit of Reed Park. The rear of the car would be the concerning. It was a glancing blow, but
to all teams, pit lane penalty, car 95 for exceeding pit lane speed limit.
dramas here for the 24 down at the Maguire's elbow. Tony Bates behind the wheel and facing the wrong direction.
Terrible place to park.
Safety car
And safety car. Big moment in the race. And double wave yellows will be flying there. Oh, no! Oh, Rosser just squeezes through the worst parked car in Bathurst at the moment. The back of the leader, and now all that margin will disappear, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were getting the lane, and quite a hefty impact into the fence. That explains the tyre. Well, was tyre cause or outcome? Cause. Oh. So there is Yasser Shahin, 777. He is the first car behind the race leader. So he's fighting against Maro Engel, who's one of the best GT drivers in the world. So this is now a massive job for Yasser. He needs to unlap himself here. But I think it might be a vain task because he's got Shane Van Gisbergen behind him in the queue as well, Martin Conrad. So we're back to green. The safety car's in the lane, back underway, big moments down at the final corner. And away we go. And it's a strange little restart because there's 5 cars on their own. Everyone else got the wave by.
Ever since that moment this morning where they had to do a reset coming out of Hell Corner, it's just gotten bad to worse, hasn't it? Just pours the gravel out of the rear of the coin spot. Audi, he was involved in the incident during the dark conditions with contact with the Lamborghini at the elbow, but that only got the door. Lucky he didn't get the left rear of the car during that incident. But now Melbourne Performance Centre have got more work to do.
This is just the end of it. Oh, missed the tyres too.
Missed the tyres, got the concrete, so...
Ouch.
That's why it's so significant damage. Broken the rear toe link on the 65 Audi. That's why you can see that right rear flopping about.
So Engel in the pits. In fact, he's just jumped out now of car number 91. We just saw 888 leave the pits with Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim behind the wheel. Kevin C jumps back in behind the 91 Craft Bamboo Mercedes-Benz.
So he'll be in this car for an hour. He has to do an hour in the second half of the race. He's got 50 minutes of driver time, so they'll use him for about 10 minutes more than they need him. And they're being hunted down by the feisty, fast South African as Kevin C, the Macanese driver, goes down the inside of Jeffrey Ibrahim and gets the spot. Van der Linde gets past car 888. And I don't think the Craft Bamboo car will be that far around. That's second for the Audi.
Van der Linde was 3 seconds quicker on that last lap as he tries to find a way past the Craft Bamboo car and will do it nicely on the way up Mountain Straight. 2:12 for C, 2:09 for Van der Linde and 2:15 for Jeffrey Ibrahim in third position. With Ricardo Fella behind the wheel, the race leader shouldn't be too far away from arriving at this part of the track. Here he is, right on cue and in front of our leader as cars scatter either side of the QK number 11 Porsche.
An issue, you can see that's tyre debris in the wheel arch of that 777 Audi. So, yeah, and it's wrapped itself around the suspension. Have a look in there, you can see it quite evidently. Steel belts from the tyre wrapped itself around the right rear suspension of the 777. Currently 4th place. Oh, he's had a big moment coming down the hill. So that rain now starting to take effect. The run from Skyline to the Dipper has been the wettest part for this longest period, and now you would call the circuit is now starting to lose grip, starting to lose adhesion.
Control to all teams, time penalty of 2 minutes to car 74 for exceeding mandatory drive time. Penalty to be served prior to the next pit stop commencing.
That is
2-minute penalty to car 74. Must be served before any work can be conducted on the car at its next pit stop.
That is race-changing news and probably race-ending news for car 74. The regulations for exceeding the driver time are significant, so they're not allowed to touch the car. Oh, what?
It's the Sheer Gold AMG at the top of the mountain. Has that made contact with the concrete?
So stops at the top at the John Hintzman Vista
flags
and safety car.
Driver's left, turn 9.
Oh, this place always rolls the dice after an hour and 52 minutes of green flag running. Second longest green flag stint. And here's a look at what happened at the top of the mountain. Mike Sheargold. So it wasn't outside wall, it was inside. Quite hefty impact at John Hinksman Vista.
Slick tyre on a wet surface across the top of the mountain. Not an easy prospect for anyone. So more contact to the front of the car for the 45 AMG. Real shame for those guys. Put up a big fight this weekend just to be here.
Grove Hire Porsche is in trouble in 7th position. Stephen Grove was behind the wheel, and these conditions just coming back to haunt us as they did in the second hour.
Wow. That is enormous.
It's more than just a crash.
So that's
quite
parked
big
at Brock Skyline, literally opposite the Brock Skyline sign.
Safety car pulls in, and Lucas Stoltz will lead us around to the restart with just under 3 hours and 7 minutes remaining. The Hallmark Audi decides to exit stage left and into the BP Ultimate pit lane.
So another driver time penalty for the Audi Sport Team. This time it's the sister car. And because it's only 30 seconds because they exceeded the minimum time by less than 5 minutes as Feeney almost drops the car off the road.
On Boxing Days, we check out a Pirelli replay here in the 9th hour of the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hour with the Craft Bamboo car just making contact down here at the Maguire's elbow with the Catan Audi.
Don't need to be doing that. Joey Mawson a couple of laps back from the race lead. And Jill Cadella just really aggressive, trying to carve his way through lap traffic. And this Pirelli replay looking back at the chase. So that's the number 11 Porsche with Aaron Zereboff behind the wheel. What is that? These guys are 40 to 50 minutes into their current stint, so you'd expect them to run for another at least 30 minutes before the next round of pit stops. So we're talking stops with 2 hours 10 to go, and then they start working from the back of the race, don't they, to work out when they need to time that final pit stop.
And if you suggest that maybe you might get, as the Super Barn Audi has a close call down at the chase.
Over. Oh, no, he didn't. He's dropped it off the road, all on his own, and gets really lucky.
Look at the gravel in the front grille of that 91 Craft Bamboo Mercedes. When he jumps on the brakes at the end of Mountain Straight, it will empty a huge amount of gravel. So the 888 team will be warning Shane Van Gisbergen about that. A little bit of pride on the line here for Van der Linde. Wanting to get to the back of the 888 Mercedes.
I mean, he's been 2 seconds a lap faster regularly throughout this stint. And the Audi's been quite slippery down the chute, which traditionally hasn't been a strong suit for the R8 at Mount Panorama. I remember Lawrence Vanthor, before he became a Porsche factory driver, and yeah, Shane lifted right out of that, let him go through. He knows he's not the same race.
Yeah, Mark Dutton, car controller for this 888 run car, standing at the front. The fuel is going in right now. They're going to have this fuel to the finish, obviously. They are standing by with 4 tyres ready to go. Remember, has to happen separately, and you have to have the car turned off, and that's always the nerve-wracking moment. Must have the car turned off when refueling, and obviously need that car to fire up when it comes down off the jacks. The long wait for fuel. They're also set up for the 888 car. They're not too far away from expecting Shane Van Gisbergen in for his last stop. Surely they throw tyres on the 75. So Shane's going to go for one more lap. He's just whizzing by me right now and into turn 1. So an extra lap. We suspected that they might have a bit more fuel in that car, given that he's been a little bit slower in this stint. 4 tyres ready to go. Brand new Pirellis to the end. Slightly slow on the left front. They've got the gun upside down. It was a little bit awkward. This is a different pit crew that 888 used to their supercar stops. It's their GT crew. And that was slightly messy, but they're going to get away with it. Car fires up. Jules Gounon back out on track. That should be the last time we see him in pit lane. They're looking good today at the mountain.
SVG's little excursion down the hill here on the Pirelli replay.
I wonder if it just passed that Porsche. Yeah, there we go. So he was offline turning in, and there's quite a bit of dust and debris there. That's where the Grove Racing car ended up parked early on after Stephen Grove had his big accident at the top. Stephen did a Moffat really and hit that inside fence, we're told. So Moffat in the Brock Commodore way back when.
Yep, that's a big crash, that one. Yeah. 86, that one was for Alan Moffat in the Mobile Commodore.
So outside tyre and then fired the car across to the inside, and it tore up that Swift-X Barroner at the top and ended up parked again on the other side of the road from where it whacked the fence. So it's a big accident from Stephen Grove. Glad to see he's okay. Here's the South African, Kelvin van der Linde.
It's just a hot lap machine, isn't he?
Racetrack with a heap of heritage. That's the leading margin. It's out to 9.2 seconds, so the Frenchman has found some more time. 2:04.0 plays a 4.4 for Murray Engel. The pace is still hot, though. And the leading cars in the 2:04s at the end of this motor race. 8.7 seconds. It's just half a second here, half a second there. And this incredibly talented Frenchman, who is broadly regarded as one of the best GT factory aces in the world. He's a factory AMG driver now. He was the architect of Bentley's victory here in 2020. And those remarkable scenes of celebration, it shows you how much a Bathurst win means. Didn't quite set the fastest lap, and the word through is that that flag is for some native wildlife in the region. Skipping has been sighted there.
It's been fairly quiet compared to previous years.
I distinctly remember the first time we had a real cadre of international drivers here, and they all came out of the driver's briefing going, can you believe there's actually a note in the driver's notes that there are kangaroo warning flags here? They couldn't quite believe it was a thing.
Missed the last lap.
And the news from James Taylor, this is the final lap. 291st and final lap of this year's Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour. As Jules Gounon flashes the headlights to the Porsche ahead to go another lap down. 9.1 seconds is the margin back to Engel. Craft Bamboo Racing, it didn't even make it out for qualifying yesterday. That car was in the Bathurst TAFE in the shed being worked on. And today Garth Tander looking good to stand on the podium with just under a lap remaining.
Yep, an engine change during the Saturday, missed qualifying, missed all of the Saturday running effectively. So when you can take that into account, this has been a massive effort by the 91 Craft Bamboo team. Just the logistics of the team making it here was a big effort. But this man has been sublime. He dead set looks like he's on his way down the mountain to pick up a litre of milk to get ready for breakfast this tomorrow morning. He has driven this car to the absolute maximum and not a step over it.
And he'll be smiling now, but it's underneath he'll be glowing, Kenny Habul. One of the great Aussie expat stories. And there'll be an outpouring of emotion coming out of the Sun Energy One garage in just a few moments' time as Jules Gounon powers down Conrod Straight for the final time here in the Bathurst 12-hour for 2022. It was put on ice as the drivers make their way out onto the apron. This is going to be a very special moment, Krause.
The fact we're racing at all this year is amazing. It's been 830 days since Australia's International Enduro came to Mount Panorama. Different scenario, still the same crazy motor race though. And today it's a Mercedes lockout of the podium, and Jules Gounon will go back to back as the expat Aussie Kenny Habul fulfills a lifelong dream and wins at Mount Panorama. Sun Energy One Racing with 888 win the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour. Properly intense, properly full-on long-distance endurance motor race. And for the first time in race history, a brand has locked out the podium, 1, 2 and 3. First drivers since Darryl O'Young and Christopher Meese in 2011 and 2012 to win back-to-back Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hours. Remarkable, with almost 3 hours of green flag running at the end of that race. The final winning margin was just 8.7 seconds. It's one of the smaller margins in the history of the race, remarkably. Triple Eight get another podium here with Car Triple Eight, just behind Craft Bamboo Racing, who fought them all the way. One lap back at the end were Audi Sport Team Valvoline, and it's a case of what could have been today for that team. Great job, Wall Racing. They get in the top 5 at the end with Lee Holdsworth, Mark Sini, and that crew just behind. Well done to the Prostate Cancer Foundation squad. They get a top 10 outright and the Class C victory. And special recognition to James Kanduris. The Superbarn Supermarkets team win the AM class in GT3. They wrote their car off on Friday. They brought a car up from Melbourne and they had to rebuild it overnight to make the race.